Every military in the world for the last 2,000 years has been trying to copy the Roman legion. Napoleon restructured his Grande Armée using Roman legion principles. The British Redcoats used synchronized formations that were the gunpowder-era version of Roman tactics. The U.S. Army's basic unit structure, companies, battalions, divisions, traces directly back to the Roman system of centuries, cohorts, and legions. If you walk onto a military base anywhere in the world today, you are, in a very real sense, walking into the ghost of Rome. The Roman legion was the highest expression of military organization the ancient world ever produced. It conquered Britain, Gaul, Egypt, Persia, and most of the known world, not because its soldiers were the biggest or the strongest, but because its system, the discipline, the formation, the engineering, the logistics, was so far ahead of everything it faced that no enemy could match it. Now a U.S. Marine infantry battalion has been transported to the Italian peninsula in 50 AD, the peak of Roman imperial power, the moment the legion is at its most refined and most dangerous. 900 Marines against 500 Roman legionaries, and a Roman general who has never lost a campaign. The Marines have everything the 21st century can give them. The Romans have something the 21st century forgot how to build. A system so perfect that the entire modern military world is still living inside it. The U.S. Marine Infantry Battalion transported to the Italian peninsula in 50 AD consists of 900 Marines, 4 rifle companies, a weapons company with heavy machine guns and mortars, and a command element. Each Marine carries an M27 infantry automatic rifle, 210 rounds of ammunition, fragmentation grenades, and interceptor body armor. The battalion has 8 AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters, 4 CH-53 heavy-lift helicopters, 6 LAV-25 light armored vehicles, and a fire support element with 6 M198 howitzers. The Roman force opposing them is a single imperial legion at full strength, 5,500 legionaries organized into 10 cohorts. Each cohort subdivided into 6 centuries of 80 men each. Every legionary carries a pilum, a heavy javelin designed to bend on impact so it cannot be thrown back, a gladius, an 18-inch thrusting sword designed specifically for use in close formation, and a scutum, a curved rectangular shield 4 feet tall weighing 22 pounds. The legion also has 120 cavalry scouts, a complement of ballistae, bolt-firing artillery accurate to 300 meters, and a corps of engineers capable of building a fortified camp in 4 hours, from raw materials. The Roman general commanding has 20 years of campaign experience across 3 continents. He has never been told that a battle cannot be won. He has, until this morning, always been right. The Roman general receives his scout report of the Marine battalion at dawn. His scouts describe the Marines in terms that map onto Roman military categories with unnerving precision. They wear armor. They carry shields of a kind, they have ranged weapons, they move in organized units with clear command structure. The things the scouts cannot categorize, the helicopters, the armored vehicles, the mortars, are described as siege engines of an unknown type and flying machines that carry soldiers. The Roman general does what Roman generals always do with new information. He incorporates it into his existing tactical framework immediately. He has fought Parthian horse archers with a range of 150 meters. He has fought Germanic berserkers who attacked in disorganized masses. He has fought Britannic chariots and Egyptian war elephants. Every new enemy presented a new tactical problem. Every new tactical problem had a solution within the legion's flexible system. He calls his senior centurions together. He says, "Their ranged weapons are superior to ours. Their flying machines are a problem we have not faced before. Their numbers are fewer than ours by a ratio of 6 to 1. We will use what we know and learn what we don't." The centurions disperse to their units. The legion begins moving into battle formation with the mechanical precision of a system that has been refined over 400 years. It takes 11 minutes. A modern battalion staff officer watching on drone feed says quietly to the Marine commander, "They just went from march column to triple battle line in 11 minutes. The Marine commander says, "So did we." His staff officer says, "Sir, they did it with hand signals and horn calls." The Marine battalion establishes its defensive position on a low ridge overlooking the Via Appia, the Roman road running south from Rome. The the most strategically important road in Italy in 50 AD. The ridge gives clear fields of fire in every direction. The Viper helicopters are on standby. The LAV-25s are positioned on the flanks. The Marine Battalion commander, a lieutenant colonel with combat experience in Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan, has studied the Roman legion's tactical doctrine in the hours since arrival. He identified two things immediately. First, the Roman pilum volley at 20 meters followed by immediate gladius assault is the most effective short-range infantry shock tactic ever devised, and it will be completely irrelevant against Marines in body armor at distances the legion cannot close. Second, the Roman testudo formation, shields overlapping above and to the sides, creating an impenetrable shell, was specifically designed to advance under missile fire. It will advance under Marine rifle fire the same way it advanced under arrow fire for 400 years, absorbing casualties, closing the distance until the legion is close enough for the pilum volley. The Marine commander's plan is simple. Never let them get close enough. The Vipers go up at 7 a.m. The Roman general, watching from his command position, sees the helicopters for the first time. He watches them for 90 seconds. Then he gives an order his centurions have never heard before. He says, "Testudo, now advance." The Roman testudo formation advancing across open ground toward the Marine ridgeline is the most tactically sophisticated response to air attack that any ancient army has produced in this series. The Mongols scattered when the Apaches appeared. The Romans locked shields and walked forward. The AH-1Z Viper's 20mm cannon fires 650 rounds per minute. The Roman scutum is made of laminated wood with a bronze boss and leather facing. Stops arrows, it stops sling stones, it stops pilum at close range. It does not stop 20mm cannon rounds. But the testudo is not designed to stop the projectiles. It is designed to keep the formation moving forward despite casualties. The shields of fallen soldiers are picked up by the soldiers behind them. The formation closes over its own dead and keeps advancing. The Viper engagement of the testudo produces the most unexpected result of any air engagement in the series. The testudo advances 200 meters under sustained 20mm fire. It loses 340 soldiers in those 200 meters, roughly 1/3 of the first two cohorts. It does not stop, it does not break, it does not retreat. The Marine Air Liaison Officer watching the engagement on his targeting screen says, "They're still coming." The Viper pilot says, "I know, I'm still shooting." The Marine commander says, "How far out are they?" His XO says, 800 meters and closing. The commander says, "Pull the Vipers back and bring up the mortars. If they want to walk into our position, we'll make the walk expensive." The Marine Weapons Company's 81mm mortars opened fire at 780 meters, well beyond pilum range, well beyond ballista range, at a distance the Roman general has never had to think about because nothing his enemies have ever carried could reach him at 780 meters. The mortar rounds drop vertically into the testudo formation, the one direction the overlapping shields above cannot protect against. The testudo breaks at 750 meters. Not in retreat, the cohort commanders redirect their sentries into open order, dispersing to reduce the target concentration. The way the legion has always adapted to new threats in the field. The Roman general watching the mortar fire sees what it is immediately: indirect fire weapons, lobbing projectiles in an arc over the shields. He has seen catapults do the same. His response is the same response Roman generals have used against catapult fire for 300 years. He disperses the formation to reduce casualties and accelerates the advance, because a dispersed advancing force is harder to hit with indirect fire than a stationary one, and the only way to neutralize the enemy's ranged advantage is to close the distance to where their ranged weapons become irrelevant. The Roman general, who has never seen a mortar in his life, has just independently derived the correct tactical response to indirect fire in 50 AD, in real time. Under fire, the Marine commander watching the Roman formation adapt on his drone feed says to his XO, "They figured it out." His XO says, "Figured what out?" The commander says, "Everything." The engagement pauses at noon. The Roman force has pulled back to 200 meters, beyond effective mortar range for the dispersed targets they now present, and is regrouping. The Marine commander uses the pause to conduct his own assessment. What he sees on the drone feed changes the character of the entire scenario. In the 5 hours since first contact, the Roman legion has not just fought. It has been building. While the front cohorts engaged the marine position, the legion's engineering corps, the immunes, the specialist soldiers who build camps, roads, and siege works, has been constructing a fortified position 2 kilometers behind the front line. Not a temporary camp, a proper fortified encampment with a perimeter ditch 3 meters wide and 2 meters deep, a rampart of packed earth 2 meters high, wooden palisade stakes along the top, 4 gated entrances with guard towers, and internal streets laid out in the standard Legion camp grid. It has taken them 4 hours and 20 minutes. It is, by any military engineering standard of any era, an extraordinary feat of field construction. The Marine Battalion's engineering officer, looking at the drone footage of the Roman camp, says, "That camp is more defensible than anything we could build with the equipment we brought." The Marine commander looks at the footage for a long time. Then he says, "They weren't just fighting us. They were building a base to fight us from indefinitely." His XO says, "How long can they sustain that camp?" The engineering officer says, "Weeks, months, as long as they have food and water." The Marine commander says, "How long can we sustain our position?" Nobody answers. Day 2 reveals the scenario's central asymmetry in full clarity. The Marine Battalion brought what it carried. The Roman Legion brought what it always brings: a logistics system that has supplied armies across 3 continents for 400 years. The Legion's supply train, positioned kilometers south on the Via Appia, includes grain stores for 30 days, medical facilities, replacement equipment, arrow and bolt supplies for the artillery, and the Legion's pay chest. The Roman army can sustain itself in the field indefinitely as long as the supply line remains open. The Marines have 4 days of combat rations, 67% of their ammunition remaining after day 1's engagements, and no resupply coming from 2026. The Marine commander's logistics officer delivers the assessment at dawn on day 2, with the precision of someone who has been running the numbers all night. He says, "At current consumption, we have 6 days of food and 3 days of sustained combat ammunition. After that, we can hold a defensive position for approximately 48 hours before we become non-mission capable." The Marine commander looks at the map. He looks at the Roman camp 2 kilometers away, fully fortified, fully supplied, with 4,800 soldiers still combat effective after day 1. He says, "We need to end this today." His XO says, "How?" The commander says, "We go to them." The Marine assault on the Roman fortified camp is the most tactically audacious decision of any engagement in this series. The Marine commander takes 600 of his 900 Marines off the ridge and moves them toward the Roman camp at dawn. LAV 25's leading, Vipers overhead, the remaining 300 Marines holding the ridge as a reserve and fire support base. The Roman general, watching the Marine advance on his own scouts' reports, makes the decision that defines the entire engagement. He opens the camp gates. He brings the Legion out to meet the Marines in open ground, not because the camp is indefensible, but because a Roman general who lets an enemy dictate the terms of engagement has already lost something more important than the battle. The engagement that follows in the flat ground between the Marine advance and the Roman camp is the most direct clash of the series. Marines in body armor with automatic weapons against Roman legionaries in lorica segmentata with pilum and gladius. The technology gap is absolute and total. At 300 meters, the Marine rifle fire is devastating. At 200 meters, the Vipers engage the flanks. At 150 meters, the Roman pilum volley, 5, zeros and heavy javelins thrown simultaneously, produces the largest single volley of projectiles in the history of the engagement and accounts for 34 Marine casualties in 8 seconds, the highest casualty rate of any ancient engagement against modern forces in this series. At 100 meters, the LAV 25s engage with their 25mm chain guns. The Roman front line stops for the first time in the engagement. For the first time in 20 years of this general's career, the line stops. The Roman general stands 80 meters behind his front line, watching his legion stop for the first time. He watches for 3 minutes. He watches the LAV E-25s. He watches the Vipers. He watches the Marines advancing in disciplined 3-man fire teams, the same principle as his own. Centuries, the same concept of organized small units supporting each other, the same idea that a disciplined group of average men will always defeat a disorganized group of heroes. Applied with weapons his civilization will not invent for 900 years. He turns to his primus pilus, his senior centurion, the most experienced soldier in the legion. He says, "Can we take that position?" The primus pilus says, "We can reach it. We cannot hold what we gain." The general says, "Why?" The primus pilus says, "Because they can kill faster than we can advance." The general is quiet for 90 seconds. Then he says, "Sound the recall." The primus pilus stares at him. In 20 years he has never heard that order. The general says it again. The cornisan raises his horn. The legion withdraws, perfectly, in formation, covering each other, taking their wounded, maintaining unit cohesion through a fighting withdrawal that the Marine commander watching on his drone feed will describe in his after-action report as the most disciplined retrograde movement he has ever observed from any military force in any theater of operations. The Roman legion does not surrender. It does not disband. It withdraws to its fortified camp, closes its gates, and begins doing what Roman armies have always done when they cannot win an open battle. It starts building. By nightfall on day 2, the Roman engineers have extended the camp's defensive perimeter, dug a second outer ditch, constructed additional ballista towers, and begun construction on a circumvallation, a continuous wall of fortification designed to encircle the Marine position on the ridge exactly the way Caesar encircled Vercingetorix at the siege of Alesia in 52 BC. The Marine commander receives the drone footage of the circumvallation construction at 9 p.m. on day 2. He looks at it for a long time. Then he says to his XO, "They're building a wall around us." His XO says, "Can they complete it before our ammunition runs out?" The engineering officer runs the calculation. The Roman construction rate, based on the drone footage, suggests the circumvallation will be complete in 5 days. The Marine ammunition endurance is 3 days of sustained combat. The Marine commander looks at the numbers. Then he says, "They lost the battle and they're still winning." His XO says, "How?" The commander says, "Because they turned a defeat into a siege in 6 hours. And we have nothing that beats a siege except ammunition we don't have." The U.S. military versus Roman legion scenario has the same surface answer as the Genghis Khan scenario. The U.S. military wins every direct engagement. The firepower is too great, the precision too decisive, the technology gap too wide for any first-century force to overcome in open battle. But the Roman scenario reveals something the Genghis Khan scenario didn't, because the Romans are not the Mongols. The Mongols responded to superior technology with patience and attrition, waiting for the ammunition to run out on the open steppe. The Romans responded to superior technology with engineering, building a fortified position that turned a military defeat into a strategic siege within hours of the first engagement. The Mongols tried to outlast the Marines on the steppe. The Romans tried to outlast them behind walls. Both strategies arrive at the same conclusion through completely different paths. The U.S. military's technological advantage is decisive in battle and irrelevant in a sustained campaign without logistics. The Roman general who sounded the recall and started building a wall understood something that took the U.S. military in Afghanistan 20 years to learn. Winning every battle is not the same as winning the war. The legion that withdrew in perfect formation and began constructing a circumvallation at nightfall did not lose to the Marines. It adapted to them in 6 hours with hand signals and horn calls. Subscribe, because next video we're sending the U.S. military somewhere they can't use the helicopters, and the enemy has been waiting 3,000 years.